Welcome to the Masters in Motion podcast. Join us as we jump into the world of CrossFit and celebrate the strength, resilience, and determination of Masters athletes. I'm Jason Grubb. Happy New Year, everybody. I'm here with Rick Stevenson. Welcome to 2024, Rick.
We're back at it. A little break around the holidays, and we seem to hit the holidays well with our breaks. If it's 4th of July or Labor Day, and now we took a little time off for Christmas, so not surprised. So good to see you. Good to be back.
I missed you last week.
I know.
Good to be back as well.
It was just texting you what I was doing. That's.
Yes, I know. Yeah, there was a lot of texting going on. And since our last episode, I think I've been sick, but I have become a grandfather.
Yeah.
God, that sounds terrible.
I know.
Grandpa, grandfather, granddaddy. If I want to think, I do live in Alabama, so I can say granddaddy.
Absolutely.
Those are all very wild things to say. But I do have a grandson, and that's very exciting. I will officially be known as long as it's okay with him, because the kids, they really determine it. But ideally, I'll be Pops.
Mm-hmm.
But whatever this little guy decides is
out
fine.
Of his mouth. Yeah. Within reason.
However it works.
Within reason.
So that's fun. Anyway, did you have a nice Christmas, family together, all that kind of stuff?
Pretty standard. Everybody was back this year, which was nice, and we did not travel, so made it. And I worked around the holidays, so pretty normal. The only difference is it's cold, gray, and dark around here. So it is not sunny South Florida.
Yeah, no, it is not sunny South Florida. To those of you preparing for Wadapalooza, and I am in Colorado for the month to experience the arrival of this grandbaby. We did travel to Colorado, and it's been cold, been very cold actually. So there's been some cold mornings, some very cold ice baths, and I love it. You know, it's the difference between getting to an ice bath in the cold versus getting into an ice bath in the warm. There's no difference.
Okay.
I know you're shaking your head. There's no difference. It's just as hard.
Okay.
Here's what happens when it's freezing out. I take my sweatshirt off. I am in just my my jammers.
Yep.
I walk out the door, take the lid off, and get right in the water when it's cold. And I get out of the water, I go right inside, and I dry off.
You're
and
still
do
damn
that.
cold.
When it's warm outside, I go outside and I dilly-dally for like 10 minutes. I scroll on my phone, or I'm goofing around. I'm mosey if it's warm outside. So the thing that's nice about it being cold is I'm very fast.
Efficient.
I'm out, I'm in, 3 minutes, I'm out of there. Yeah, very efficient. So I'm going to try to translate that into warmer temperatures, so I don't waste half my morning just getting ready to get in cold water. You know,
we're going to talk more about it, but after you get home and you get your setup set there, the contrast therapy will be much more of an effort made on my part too, because I'm afforded that at on the backside of our gym. So it is we're very fortunate to have that, and don't take that for granted. So when you get your setup, then we'll be a little bit. I'll be a little bit more disciplined. I say that now. It's January.
I'm excited.
January 2nd. Nobody's lost a New Year's resolution yet. I don't like New Year's resolutions. By the way, I can't stand.
Right. I'm crushing my. I decided yesterday, actually, I didn't have this as a New Year's resolution, but I decided yesterday that I'm getting up earlier. I'm just tired of, I've had this schedule where I've like stayed up later and later, and then I get up later and later. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't matter because I don't have a fixed schedule, but it ends up really chewing into lots of things. So last night I went to bed in a record, like I don't think I went to bed this early in 2023 altogether, but I was in bed by 10:15. So... and I'm still getting over being sick. So I 10:15, I still slept in. Yeah. I woke up naturally at about 8:05. Okay. So I got a lot of sleep last night. I feel much better today. Was able to train after being sick. But when I get home, yes, you're right. While we've been gone, I've had an electrician out to set up all the electrical for the sauna. The big project is when I get home, set up the sauna, get the electric connected, and start doing that Sunday 3 or 4 round contrast of sauna, ice bath. I can't wait to see what that does. At worst, it'll feel good. Right. At best, it's going to do some good things for hormone levels and all that kind of stuff. We'll see. So, busy week over the past, at least 2 things came up on our schedule in the past couple of days. One, the Rulebook came out while we were taking it easy. So I think it came out the day after our last recording. So that's okay. We've been able to do some digging and really get to know the Rulebook. So we've got some thoughts on that. And especially, we actually think we've picked up a couple of things in the Rulebook that we haven't heard in other podcasts. So I think that'll be kind of fun to chat about. Before we get to that, I know that you and I both were at the Legends Championship. Yep. And as a winner, you were on the podium as a team. I was an individual winner. And we did get an email over the weekend that has been broadcast to the world
Widely
via, I think, the
disseminated.
barbell spin.
Yep.
Everyone's out there.
Yep.
Just the email says that there's not prize money in the budget this year. Historically, you and I know that Legends Championship has gone out of pocket for broadcasting for prize money as they've been building this championship, and that this year there weren't prizes. They left a little ambiguity at the end, saying that not all the bills have been paid, and they'll let us know when it's all reconciled.
Right.
Honestly, I don't think we even needed that PS.
Yeah.
I think just nipping that in the bud and saying, hey, no prizes, no prize money this year. That's okay. So that was an email that I received. I looked at it. I was like, okay. I set the phone down. And then about 3 or 4 hours later, I started getting lots of inbound messages from other competitors with some questions and thoughts on that. But when I think I'll shift to you briefly, Rick. When you saw that, and I think we may have even or texted about it or something like that. But what was your initial thoughts and response? Did you have some feelings around that or feedback?
I was a little surprised because it had been done in the past, and I know it was paid out of pocket. I just felt that given the increased spotlight on the event maybe this year, hey, this is the last event they're going to run until ... August comes around of 2024, and it's not the same event, which we'll make sure to reinforce that point. But I just thought that there might be something standing on the podium as a team member. I had no preconceived notion of anything. I mean, it was first year for teams. We were very happy to be included. But then when you shared that, I was a little surprised. But you know what? They're making these decisions based on you could literally say their wallet. So if they're not willing to go out of pocket for that, fine. You know what? The model will change, and it should allow for something like that in the future, especially with more sponsors, especially with greater visibility and better ticket sales and things like that. There will be money, I'm sure, for prize.
Well, and you bring up a good point that Legends has grown every year, I believe, year over year over year. Its impact has become greater and greater year over year over year. And there's a reason that they were selected as the ones to run the Masters Games coming up September, August, whenever that's going to be.
Right.
To be determined. And so let's just touch on that one thing. Let's make a point here. I didn't realize this until I was at the Legends Championship, that there will be 2 events in the latter half of next year. There will be the Masters CrossFit Games hosted by Legends. Or the name is to be determined, but that is a specific event, and it has dollars coming from CrossFit to help support that event. And then there will be the Community Championship, which is the Legends Championship, which will be in Tempe, Arizona, again next December. Those are 2 separate events. And so when this was released on, I believe Barbell Spin may have been the first to put it out there. There may have been other outlets that put it out there. But there were a lot of comments from people that were like, well, this is really negative comments. Like, this is a great way to start the games. This just shows that they're a sideshow. You're like, they picked these guys to run the games. Good luck getting paid at the games. ... And I think the community as a whole actually doesn't realize that there are 2 separate events. There's the partnership event, and then there's the Legends Championship, and those are 2 different events. Those events have different bankrolls, right? CrossFit has already shared that there is going to be cash. I believe CrossFit has shared this, that the prize money for the Masters will be the same as it has been historically, which would make sense with our open quarterfinal, semifinal dollars going towards that influx of cash for the Masters Games. Okay, the Legends Championship. It's not free to enter. It's actually as expensive as any other competition. But it is, I just want to reiterate, like, it is a top-notch event run really well. They've got a great team there. The venue this year was insanely good. And so I walked away, the fact that they didn't say anything about prize money during the awards ceremony, there was part of the back of my head. I was like, there's no prize money this year, and it doesn't matter. Winning the Legends Championship is an honor. It's a prize in and of itself. And to take a 4th title there, and I will travel there. I will spend money on the Airbnb. I spent so much money on flights. Excuse me. That's okay, because the honor of competing on the floor is huge. And I don't think any Masters athlete, I think the majority of Masters athletes that compete at Legends or at huge events like that, the Masters Fitness Collective or other large events, I don't think they're going there to try to make money. I mean, if
I think that's been so well documented. You can't
right?
do it for money, especially if they're like Wodapalooza only paying out first place. You're
that's it.
No way should you even be thinking that. But
no.
Stranger things have happened, right?
Stranger things have happened, and I will say that historically in 2020, 2021, 2022. All of those years, there was a prize, and I did get paid a cash prize as well as some vendor swag, I feel like. So this has happened historically. But again, I think Legends is continuing to build something that's really unique, really significant. And again, I mean, I'm going, and the $700, I think last year, I can't remember what the actual payouts were, but under $1,000 in the previous years, I believe. Maybe last year was a little bit more, but none of that is life-changing money, and none of that actually even covers any of the expenses of getting out there. So if $700 is a reason that I'm going to go compete somewhere, man, that's just easier ways to make money.
It's not, you're not going to give it a thumbs down for that. Trust me.
No, not at all. And I did share my perspective in a long sort of newsletter out there, just saying everything that I've just said. As a winner, as a multi-year winner, life-changing money, I think is in the thousands of dollars. And I'm not upset about not getting paid $750. I mean, it's fair. That's not chump change. It's not pocket change for sure, but it's not something to get upset about. And Bob and Joe, I could see their investment into the competition this year. And similar to other years, like if you experience this as well, like it was such a good experience. It rivals the games in its execution. Its organization and execution was just flawless. So, what did you text me yesterday? Was it the path to greatness takes lots of zigs and zags? You said it much better than that.
The path progress. I'll look it up, but I think the greatest
it was on
the greatest thing that I could take away, and I do want people to remember that is the Legends event might be a CrossFit licensed event, and so there's a dotted line to cross. But the games, the Masters games presented by Legends, whatever the name is going to be determined, is a solid black line. There is a definitive tie to HQ and the, as you called it, the bankroll. So you've got a dotted line, which is still growing, and it's made progress and great strides. And then there's the hard and fast black line that ties those two events together, HQ and the games. And so if people want to make, hate those kind of the comments that garner all the attention and poke at Legends and insinuate that that's going to be how the summer event will be run, I think is the glass is half full, but I think that's a wrong that's a wrong way to take it. And
I think you're right. And I think the criticism can come when the actual information comes out about the games. And that'll be, I think we'll roll into the rule book. I almost called it the yearbook, the rule book, which is new and updated this year, because there are some clues in the rule book on what we can expect this coming season, and we'll jump into that in a second. But we can't get angry about we can't even speculate on some of the things that are going to roll out with the Masters CrossFit Games by Legends. The information is just not there. It's just they've been trickling it out, and they'll release more information on all that stuff when they're ready. That's the deal. And until then, we don't have anything. We don't have anything to speculate about until they really throw something out there. So fingers crossed. I am excited for whatever news comes out about that. But yeah, two separate events. I loved your analogy on that, the dotted line versus the hard line. That's big, and it's good to know, and it's great to separate that so that we can have the honest conversation about Legends and an honest conversation about the games by Legends, whatever it's going to be called.
Yeah, whatever. Right. Yeah, we're still going to be, for the next how long, maybe month or two, we're still going to be fishing for a name when we sit here and talk. So if that's not confusing enough, I don't know what is. But, hey,
totally.
If you're still listening, great, we're confused. Or confusing.
Right. But I think go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was going to say we do have.
Let's do it.
What we do have what we know is some information on the rule book, and we were told it would come out in December. got some information when we were out there in Tempe. They said, "Oh, it'll be out shortly," and sure enough, it was. Again, I think you're 100% right. It was the day after we recorded the last time, so we've had some time to look it over.
Yes,
I heard this somewhere, but it was when I finally pulled it up. It's interesting in the logo in the top corner. Now, I'm a tree killer, don't hate, but I like to print things out. Or you're looking at it on your device. The logo for the first time since 2011, I believe, it is just called the CrossFit Games. There is no sponsor in the Rulebook section. It had always been Reebok, and then they made that announcement where Noble was the title sponsor in time, and then for the next 3 years you had the Rulebook release with your little corporate logo, and now you just have back to CrossFit Games 2024. So obviously the title sponsor is still being, at the time of the printing of the Rulebook, was still being negotiated. I just thought it was funny, as I'm so used to seeing a sponsor name up there in the top. Not this year, not yet.
I just opened it up. It is crisp and clean, just CrossFit Games. I like it. I like it all clean like that. Yep. But okay,
quite a
good
while.
Pickup.
Quite a while. That's okay. Hey, I think the worry about the sponsor means more to the individual and teams that are headed down to. Yes. They're going to make their way down to Texas eventually in August, because the title sponsor carries the big wallet. Let's put it that way.
Yes,
I believe that.
I mean, it'd be great if they were just sponsored by the state of Texas. The state of Texas CrossFit Games would be crazy.
Politics aside, doesn't matter. There's a big rainy day fund in Texas. I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong.
That's a big one. That'd be a good one. Oh my gosh. But there are some new things in the rule book. What do you want to start with?
I tell you what, we don't need to spend a ton of time on is the Open. Pretty straightforward. We know the dates. I think Boz laid it out pretty well. He said, when you think of this season, think of it in terms of months. And even though the Open starts in February 29th, leap year this year, basically it's March 1st. So just think the Open's 3 weeks. Mm-hmm. March 1st. Registration for the Open begins next week as of this recording on
wild.
I think less than a week now, Monday the 8th or Tuesday the 9th. So sign up, pretty simple. Give it a whirl. 3 weeks, and knowing that you're going to go into that larger quarterfinal pool, just make sure you're healthy. And you and I will talk about it many times, but how to practice again, recording, camera angles, just so, I did it on just a random workout by myself 2 weeks ago, just because I hadn't recorded anything in a while. And I wanted to see angle on a couple certain movements that I was doing, just to make sure everything worked. Could I still upload it?
I'll interject into that. I was recording a workout a few weeks ago on my iPhone, trusty as ever iPhone. And somehow the entire workout wasn't recorded. I went over and something stopped the recording, 12 minutes into a 15-minute workout. I was like, oh, okay. Ooh. Well, that's why I always have two cameras. I always have a GoPro stacked on top of my iPhone. I do have a video on YouTube about that. That's really handy. The specific, everything that I have from tripod to attachment for having two cameras. But when it matters for quarterfinals and semifinals, you do not want to do those workouts twice because of a technical glitch.
Right.
No.
So, I mean, the Open will give the community a chance to be together again. I think it's important for the affiliates. The affiliate increase aside, and whatever the grumblings are there, that's not for me to decide. But 3 weeks for the Open, and then we'll move to April into quarterfinals. So, what are your thoughts on quarterfinals here? It's a large pool, 25%.
Well, yeah, it's a huge pool. I'll talk about the pool, and then you talk about the timing on that. Okay. I'm okay with the larger pool. Honestly, I think we touched on this before, but I'm a fan of a larger pool, giving more people the opportunity to compete at a higher level. That's one of the things that I loved when the Open in 2015, 16, 17, 18, the Open mattered very distinctly for Masters athletes trying to qualify for the CrossFit Games. So you recorded those videos. You worked your tail off. I repeated a lot of those workouts because I wanted to have the highest score possible, because those scores carried over into our next level of qualification. Right. And so there's a lot of pressure there, and I liked that. Or at least I liked the experience of that. It was very stressful at the time, but I liked having the experience of that. So I think more people getting into quarterfinals where you do set up those cameras, I think that creates the opportunity for that higher level of intensity.
Yeah.
and when you get to do that, you perform at a higher level, you test yourself, you push yourself harder. The workouts ideally at quarterfinals will have more complexity, more challenge to them.
Right.
So again, more bodies in there. I think it makes for a fun competition. It makes for a fun weekend because now you have more people, not just like one or two people in your gym doing quarterfinals. Maybe there's a whole group of them, and that can also be a smaller community celebration, not just that one guy in the corner with a camera, right? Which has always been me.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to have lots of people doing that. So I'm a fan.
The affiliate owners might cringe in that they have more bodies to accommodate, and we're talking specifically a couple of weeks in April, as those dates are in the rulebook now and released. But if there are enough athletes in the gym that have moved on to quarterfinals, again, it's almost like a mini open. The pressure is up, has been ramped up. But if you don't like participating in those type of qualifier events by yourself, here you get to do it in heat or with other friends.
Yes.
And I think that just can lead to a better experience. But those are, I think last year was really confusing from a who goes when, where on the calendar and when. The teams are going first in the early part of April, sticking with the calendar theme that Boz pointed out. The month of April dedicated to quarterfinals. Teams go first, but we're not going to talk about teams here. Age group, and we're actually combined with individuals this year. So if you have a young 25-year-old that's making a push to semifinals, and you know that they're going to be part of your age group quarterfinal experience, that's going to be from April 17th through April 22nd. So a Wednesday through a Monday. They allowed longer time this year, which I think they communicated already, and they gave us 2 submission windows, which I think is not much different than what in years past. They'll release all the workouts, and they'll say workouts 1, 2, and 3 are due on Saturday at this time, and workouts 4 and 5 or 4, 5, and 6 or whatever are due on Monday at this time. So they're giving us that extra day on both ends, Wednesday to Monday.
Yes.
And the submission
Does it say, I haven't dug into it, does it say that they'll release all the workouts at the beginning and then we have those windows, or will there be 2 different release times on workouts?
It does not say that specifically, but I tell you what it does reference is the exact number of workouts that will need to be performed within each window will be released once the competition begins. So read into that. They're, in the past, from age group qualifiers days, they gave them all.
We've got them all, right?
And you kind of would identify the order that you wanted to do them in, knowing that they were all due on that Monday. Here, this is thank you, CrossFit, for being a little consistent in this. That's pretty standard to what we've become accustomed to the last few years, 21, 22, 23, now for 24. So $50 sign up for quarterfinals, larger pool of people, 1 week in April, Wednesday through Monday. Very straightforward.
I'm excited that we're doing that together with the individual athletes. I think that can be really fun. So it's not segmented. It's actually more consolidated for the gym affiliate owner that has multiple age groups.
Right.
I think it'd be really interesting if the workouts were very similar, right? If we did, it'd be so cool. I loved the individual quarterfinal workouts last year. I tested all of them a couple weeks before our quarterfinals, and I loved them. So I would love it if we had something similar. So again, there's that cohesiveness through the age groups all the way up. It shows togetherness, even though we're both qualifying for something, the games, but a separate version for each of us. So I think that would be cool. We'll see how that goes. But also, the longer time period is a blessing and curse. I will say that.
Correct.
And the blessing is that you have more time. You don't really have to jam pack. You may not have to do 2 of the workouts in one day, which we often have to do. You do one in the morning, one in the afternoon, and there's some crossover in there. Like you're fatigued from one leading into another. You have to be really strategic. So you don't have to do that as much.
Family events, there's work schedules, there's all those other factors that play into you having to do multiple events in one day or all in one afternoon.
Right.
Here you might not have to.
Yeah. And that's the blessing.
Right.
The curse, you know what the curse is.
Yep.
The curse is you could have an opportunity to retest one or multiple events in each window, if you were so inclined. Now, here's I'm gonna go back and forth here. The positive is if you have a bad event, like there's times, I don't know if you've ever experienced this, where you go into an event, you have a strategy, you're going to go for it, and you kind of blow it. You fall apart and you blow up too soon or something, and there's no time to retest, so you just try to salvage what you've got left in this particular event.
Mm-hmm.
If you have enough time to repeat, if you have a really bad event, if you're sick, if maybe something just doesn't go right, like double unders just aren't working that day.
Good point.
Okay, you do get a chance to repeat that, because sometimes you have a bad day, and it's nice to have a little flexibility on that. There are those, and I have been this guy in the past that is just so neurotic and so crazy about that blind leaderboard. And I'm thinking, okay, what did Mike Kern get? What did Vlad get? What, my other competitors out there? What did Tony Kurtz get? What's their scores? And I might just have to retest it to make sure no stone is unturned.
Mm-hmm.
Quarterfinals, I don't get quite that manic. And we'll talk about this at semifinals, but there is that temptation to get a little crazy, right? As a competitor in retest.
Quarterfinal last year, you were going from a larger pool, not as large, but a larger pool down to the top 30. So it was a pretty narrow funnel. It's a lot larger, a lot wider this year.
Yes.
As we'll discuss. But if you are in a younger age group and are talented enough, scores that you put up and times are competitive on the individual side, you do the workout once, that's specifically spelled out, and you will be on both leaderboards. So I'm thinking more in that 35 to 39, maybe into your early 40s, where there's a good chance that you might be having a chance to advance to the in-person semifinals for the individuals. You'll also be ranked depending on where your placement is for the age group, because you're doing them all the same weekend, which is great. So that is specifically a section in there this year. And it's
good.
Points for placement, which I know we've had issues with in the past. Top score gets 1 point, second place gets 2 points. And inevitably, before they flip the switch, first place gets 100 points. And then there's uproar and they have to switch the leaderboard around. So it's spelled out in the leaderboard, in the rule book this year. It's points per placement. So we'll see if that holds true.
All right, like golf, let's keep the numbers low this year. Keep them really low.
Keep the numbers
low.
For. And for quarterfinals, here in bold, they actually 2.08 in the rule book, video review, and they slapped with a new sticker on it. For age group, if you are thinking you're going to be in a qualifying position to move on to semifinal, they will ask for a video. We're not sure which one or how many, up through first place up through 250. That's a lot of videos. So if you're in that zip code, be prepared, because no video equals no score, a zero, and you're pretty much off the leaderboard. So they said here, this is the interesting one. At the conclusion of the competition, CrossFit will select one workout to review. I think that
they've done that in the past. They've done that in the past.
They didn't do. They did that with AGOQ, I think, in the past.
AGOQ, and it was at AGOQ they would select one or two, sometimes three, but it's Russian roulette. You're not gambling. You have to have good videos for everything. And when we get closer, you and I will talk about best practices for videos. It's not hard, but we just don't want to mess that up.
Yeah. So be in a qualifying position up through 250, at least have a video there. That was enough of a change for them to put it in bold. And if they require more information, like if they didn't like your first, you for another one. So I think you just submit it with your score and you'd be done with it. So, through the latter part of April, they spell the dates out here, when the leaderboards will be finalized. And lo and behold, we've moved the calendar into May, and we're into semifinals now. We're not worried about the individual semifinals. We're worried about age group, and they're going to take 200 men and 200 women in each division that move on to semifinals. And for us, that's the month of May, and it is the week of Wednesday, May 8th through Monday, May 13th. 2 submission windows. We don't need to go beat a dead horse on this one. It's the same way as quarterfinals, folks. In fact, I think they just cut and pasted switched out quarterfinals to semifinals here, because it reads $50 again per athlete for age group, and you will have a little bit more pressure on you, even with the expanded field for the final. You're dealing with a bigger pool, and I think we talked about this a couple weeks back. But out of that 200, we know not all 2 do these workouts. In the past, when they've taken a snapshot of 200 athletes, it's maybe been 160 to 180 people submit all 5 scores or 4 scores. So That's just for whatever reason. And so if you are lucky enough and you're thinking you're in a qualifying position, they're going to look for videos from 1 to 60 this time. So basically double your field. Be prepared.
Yes.
With that. What else do we have here? Points per placement for semifinals. We'll see if they can come through again. And
Right.
I do want to get the language here on this because I thought this was interesting. The language on backfilling. So after we talked about the expanded fields for age group legends, masters, games, whatever the name is to be determined, starting with 40 men at age 35 and 40 women at age 35 and working our way down to just 20. But 20 is a vast improvement for 65 and up. There is they will backfill, and I believe I read that up to 3 spots. But you have to have an invite first, decline the invite, not no-show at the event. You have to decline the invite, and then it goes within a time frame. It goes to up to three backfill. So if there's something with international travel or just something just doesn't allow you to know that week in August, whatever that week is going to be, turn your invitation down and help somebody out in a qualifying position. That's my ask. Please don't be a jerk.
Yep. We've seen that.
Yep.
We've seen that.
Sure
and that really, really hurt when there was a field of 10.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
And there's 10 spots and then someone doesn't come. Very, very unfair. With the field of 40, well, let's talk about the semifinal field of 200. You're right. That larger field, anytime there's a larger field, there's a lot of wild cards out there.
Mm-hmm.
I was a wild card back in 2018.
Right.
I was 57th place or something out of the open and ended up crawling into 13th place through the age group qualifier to qualify for the games that year. They took the top 20, but I was one of those wild cards that got in and then ended up being able to compete in person at the games. So I think there will be in this large field of 200 men and women in each category. Depending on the event, you can have, and this is where you're talking about that. It's not just guaranteed that Grubb is going to make it, right? Mm-hmm. It's a good chance, hopefully. If I'm a fit human being, but if I have one bad event and I get 180th place in one event, that's 180 points tacked on because someone else or some other people are so much better at something.
Right.
Again, the likelihood of that, but it does affect so many of us when there's some specialized events come in that sneak in. You might have heavy lifting or something that's very gymnastics-like or something very endurance-based.
Right.
Think back to the 2019 AGOQ. One of the workouts was 80 bar-facing burpees into a 4K row.
Oh, yuck.
One of the worst things I've ever done, for sure. And there could be some true athletes. I mean, you could really come off the leaderboard with interesting events like that. So you just have to always be ready and prepared. And the larger the field, the more interesting some of the numbers get. Don't you agree?
I do. I didn't even think of it that way, and you're right in that the variability of placement has a chance to throw it out of whack. Chances are your qualifying place, say for just looking at the 35 to 39. So that athlete in position 38th, 39th, and 40th, your point total, even for points for placement, is going to be a pretty large number. So
yes,
there's going to be some variability in scores. And I think what will be impressive, and everybody will talk about those top finishers that have maybe 7, 8, 10, 12 points total over 5 events, which shows you their average finish and mixed in there. And that is going to be something. So your chance for having a bad event and moving on, it's okay if you can outweigh a lot of solid finishes and everything. And that's the cream of the crop, not the average guys that I'm going to be battling.
Yeah. I'm excited to see the numbers that they've allotted at the games. That makes for such a robust competition. I mean, if we think about this, compared to years in the past where there's been 10 of us in each division and they've had all the men and all the women in one age group going at one time and they're really moving through this, to have 40 per age group up until they get into the 50s and then 30s and then 20s, the field is going to be so massive in each one of these age groups, it's going to make for a really compelling and crazy CrossFit Games. Right. One of those where I'll tell you that it could be an advantage as a guy that thinks strategically. I'm towards the end of, or I'm getting in the upper stages of my age group at 48. I've got 49 next year. On one hand, I want to say the more, the better, because if I have a great event, there's some point spreads between me and the other guy, the other top guy. The more people it creates a lot more variance, right, in the scores, like you said. But that trickles down into quarterfinals, semifinals as well. So larger fields make for very interesting numbers games. So I'm good with that. Speaking of numbers, did you want to talk about what we found in last year's yearbook that we didn't find in this year's yearbook?
Absolutely.
I called it a yearbook, rulebook.
Well,
So, go ahead.
Good segue from what we talked about earlier in terms of cash prizes. The rule book did spell out cash prizes for individuals and age groups last year. This year, it appears that it spells it out for individuals and teams. And while there's a section in the rule book for age group cash prizes upon successful completion of a drug test and filling out the required withholding forms and all the legal language, cash prizes will be paid in US dollars, but no mention of exactly what they are. And I think your point earlier before we got on camera was it's probably because the title sponsor hasn't been finalized at the time of this writing. There will be something. Right. We know that again, this is a black line from CrossFit to Legend. We just don't know the width of the black line. How about that?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. And I trust the process. I trust the guys pulling the knobs behind the scenes there, whether it's Castro and Bossman, Joe, Bob, Legends. These guys all, they're wanting to make sure that this goes very smoothly. But yeah, I think they had to get a rule book out. They just had to. Right. And even though they don't have everything nailed down perfectly, they included everything that they could share that has been nailed down. And this is the transition year. So having a rule book that is 99% complete, that doesn't have absolutely everything because it's not nailed down yet, it's to be expected on a transition year. And I will extend, all the grace in the world to the teams working on this because of the fact transition year, they've never done this. We've never had a games that's been its own event like this for Masters. And it's exciting. I mean, change is exciting. Change is also a little nerve-wracking. Right. We'll see how it goes. But I think you and I are both kind of glass half full kind of guys, and we're optimistic because we know the guys behind the scenes. You've spent time with them. I've spent time with them. Trusting them and trusting the process. Let's see how it goes.
This is our entertainment too. I mean, it is. It's a way that we found an exercise methodology years ago that has morphed into a competitive sport for some, remains an exercise methodology tried and true for the vast majority of people in this, at affiliates and working out on their own in garage gyms and such. But we just like the competitive side of it. So this is how we get some enjoyment out of it. And if you're 99% of the way done, and I'm holding paper here in early January, that gives us dates and times and scoring and things like that, I'm good. I can mark the calendar down. I can make a proper log the proper days off of work, and I'll be happy. So
yep,
all good.
You just I'm going to use that as a verb. You just Stevenson the heck out of it. That's what you'll do. Yeah. You'll do your thing where you're all organized, and then there's going to be me that's just asking you because you're the organized one. I'm just piecing it together. So I'm glad you said March, April, May. Yeah. I'll remember that. That's handy to remember.
To a printer. That's all I got to say. No, the final thing I did want to add is here we are in early January, but they said that the leaderboard for semifinals will be finalized no later than May 28th. So in just 5 months, we'll know we're going somewhere or going to be going as a volunteer or going to support or whatever. But we'll know by the end of May.
Yeah.
So. Very good.
Yes. And by the end of May, I feel like we'll know where it's at. We'll have it. It'll be nailed down. We'll be booking our plane tickets or our RV trips or whatever we're doing.
Yep.
If I get the invite, I don't care if it's in Hong Kong. I'm going. I don't care wherever it is. I don't think Hong Kong is on the list officially. I'll find a way. Dude, I'll swim there. I don't even care.
Somewhere in the 48 states. We'll figure it out.
Likely, very likely. We could bet on that.
Yes, correct.
Well, that was fun, Rick. Hey, we didn't talk about this beforehand, but do you have a pick of the week for the new year?
I do. I actually do, and it is
good. Okay.
Do you have a pick of the week?
I do. I'm so excited. We both have picks. We're so organized.
We're organized because 2015 called and they want their Apple Watch back. So I'm learning. I'm a neophyte. Okay. I was able to get a watch. One. Yes. I'm just figuring it out. Again, really for the health tracking, the metrics, the workout. Got a good friend, Mike at the affiliate that I train with, and he has been very helpful and shows a lot of. Hasn't really dialed in. I know you do too. I'm learning as I go. Again, this is something that you guys all learned 6, 7, 8 years ago. I apologize. I'm late to the game, but better late than never. So
Well,
I will find
welcome
more
aboard.
interesting things as I go along, but that's my tip of the week. Years late.
Well, I can't wait to share data with you. I walked into a gym one time and they weren't sure if it was me, and then she saw my Apple Watch. She was like, "Oh, I saw your Apple Watch. It is you, Jason."
Jeez.
Like that was because I wore it at the games. I mean, I wear it for everything.
Mm-hmm.
At most of the workouts at Legends, like I started a workout so that I can look back and see where my heart rate is in some of these intense workouts. I want to know when I push myself at the highest level, what's going on in my heart rate and in stress levels, all that stuff. So, yeah, I do love it. Okay,
what is
my tip of the week? I've been drinking it as we speak. So, and I will say that this company sponsors my YouTube channel. They are not a sponsor here.
Mm-hmm.
I just happens to bleed over because I'm such a fan. Okay, so it's two things. Element sent me a tea kettle. Okay, they sent me this, and this is just a cool tea kettle. Okay, this isn't it. It's just I'm a big fan of this tea kettle now, which is embarrassing to say. But what I'm really loving
now.
is I am a grandpa with the tea kettle. So I'm gonna hold this up to the camera, see if I can get this in there. I don't know where it focuses. I'll hold it back here. But what it is, it's the Element chocolate medley. Okay. The chocolate medley from Elementi is they have 3 different flavors. This was the chocolate raspberry. They've got a chocolate mint and a chocolate chai, I think.
Yeah, you said that.
They all taste very similar. One's minty, one's chocolatey, and this one is raspberry. But it has the same thing. It's got sodium, potassium, magnesium, all in it. Same thing as a standard Element packet. But when they send it to me, you drink it warm, right? You pour it in, you put your hot water in there. It's like hot chocolate. And I was so skeptical. I'm like, I am not drinking hot salt chocolate water. That does not sound good. Even from a sponsor, I'm like, I'll give it a go. I'll give it a shot and I'll take a drink. And like, I was in the kitchen in my house. I took the first drink and my knees almost buckled. I was like, oh, this is so good. It's so good that I actually cannot drink as much of it as I want to. Like, I want to drink this all day, but you really can't be drinking 1,000 milligram packets of sodium all day, every day. You cannot.
Yes.
I'll do 2 Elements a day. Normally they happen before my workouts. But in the winter, I've got an Element pre-workout for my first session. And then normally in the evenings, I'm cold. In fact, I'm cold right now, Rick. I've drank all of it. I'm freezing now. But I've been nursing this like chocolate Element during our talk. So as skeptical as I was, I will say that my favorite thing this winter so far has been having a tea kettle, which is one. So they're cheap, they're easy. But to be able to make warm tea or warm Element, it's just like I would have never purchased this if it wasn't given to me. And now I'm like halfway through my packet. I'm probably gonna have to buy more because the winter is not slowing down. It's cold here. It's cold in Alabama. It's not nice anywhere for at least a couple of months. And then we'll be just back to nice, cold Element. I won't be drinking out of a kettle. It'd be too hot. Anyway,
I like that tea kettle.
That's my
tea kettle.
You don't mean seriously.
Look at that.
Okay. That's it. Show's over. With that, Rick, I will see you next week. I'm going to end this thing. I'm going to say our outro from a grandfather perspective. Guys, thank you for tuning in to the Masters in Motion podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, please give us a subscribe and a like. It helps support the channel, the Masters community. If you're listening on a podcast app, please leave us a 5-star rating. Again, that helps spread our reach to support the Masters community. Until next time, guys, get bolder, not older. We'll see ya.